And hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host. And as always, thanks so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed the show. Well, I have the pleasure of having a return guest who I know that you'll enjoy getting to hear from again. His name is Ed Wilhelms. He's the founder and artistic director of DramaWorks Theater, which is based in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. And Ed, so good to have you. Thank you so much for coming back.
Oh, it's fun to be back.
I'm so glad you're here. As you know, which I always say, is let's start from the beginning. So why don't you introduce yourself again to the viewer, take us back into your background.
Oh, we're going to do that again?
We're going to, yes, let them get to know all of you.
Aren't we bored with me yet? No?
No.
Okay. And so at a very young age, I got involved as an actor in summer stock. I was 16 years old, and I got a job in summer stock in the Tin Man as stage manager. I shouldn't say the Tin Man. I wound up doing the Tin Man in Wizard of Oz because the guy quit. So that was the beginning of my acting career. It was an accident that got me started. So then I studied drama and contemporary drama and classical drama acting at the American Theater Wing School, which doesn't exist anymore. It was a regular brick and mortar school that they had, and small classes. I think there were only 15 of us in my group in the drama department. And then I went from there to training at the Raymond Moore Professional Training Center, which was me and 5 other actors, and that was at the Cape Playhouse in Dennis on the grounds. And we filled in on the shows. We had our children's shows on the weekends, and we did classical theater out on an outdoor stage in the sun.
In the sun.
And it was very hot. But it was a weekly paycheck. So, and then I just kept acting, and I stopped for a number of years to raise 2 kids, and then slowly, I would say about 25 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, started to ease back into it. Did some television commercials and was a member of a group that did sketch comedy. On tour, we traveled around. So I slowly got into it, but I've always had this interest in directing. I never had an interest in producing, and oddly enough, when I was at the Theater Wing, Helen Mencken, the president of the Theater Wing, said to me one day, she said, "You know, Edward, you're gonna someday be a great producer." I thought she was crazy. Well, I'm not a great producer, but I do produce, so I don't know where that came from, because I was acting all over the place. I have no idea, but she saw something. I don't know. And so eventually I thought I would move to Florida and retire. Nonsense, absolute nonsense, because you don't retire. If you're in the arts, you don't retire. You just keep doing what you do. So out of boredom, I said, why don't I start a theater? So I started a theater in Florida, which is a little kind of an off-Broadway black box kind of a situation like I have in Old Saybrook. And when I left there after, I think it was about 4 or 5 years, I handed the keys over to my tech manager and I said, okay, you got it. And so he kept doing it, and it's doing very well. Raises money, does some great shows, so it's still going. We opened this theater. Our full season, unfortunately, got delayed by a year and a half because of COVID, but we've been having full seasons now since 2021. We do 6 shows a year, sometimes 7. We do a special if we can in between, like the one acts on a weekend, or if we have right now, one of our directors has written a musical, and he's going to be doing a reading of the musical, and that'll be one day. So we try to offer some things in and out through the season, but basically we do 6 plays a year.
Did you think, now you were growing up and pursuing an acting career, did you think for the duration of your life, still living, which you are, that you would be performing as an actor, or did you think directing and producing, that was going to be your next step?
Directing, maybe. Yeah, maybe directing. But I always figured I'd just stay an actor, you know. But you evolve. You know, you get older, you evolve. First of all, you don't learn lines like you used to be able to, which is number one.
Right.
There's lots of actors that we would love to see on stage and in film that don't work anymore because they can't learn lines. Cary Grant said to an interviewer one time, he said, "I'm just too old." And he stopped.
Yeah. Directing, did it come naturally to you? Did you study it? How does somebody become a director?
I think no, I didn't study it. I think directing comes as a result of working with good directors. You learn that way. It's like being a chef. You know, you can go to school and learn the basics, or you can work in the kitchen and start chopping something and keep your eyes open and keep your ears open and then ask to do different things, and then you've eventually become a full-blown chef. So if you work with good directors, you learn, and really good directors will teach you. And so that was it for me. I think just being observant and learning that way. And it does help to be an actor because you know what actors go through. And so no, I didn't study it. I think it came naturally, to answer your question. I think it did. It was just a natural progression.
The producer part, you are a producer. How did that come about?
The producer is a guy that has the money. He just throws the money. Well, what do you need? Here, boom. What do you want to go buy a pizza? Here, get pizza for the kids, you know, whatever. Pays for the royalties, you know, gets the thing going, you know. But the producer also, kidding aside, also puts together the team. So the producer not only, if it's his money, then he's got to get the, you know, the director that he can work with, and he has probably a say in casting a show, and he's got maybe some people that he wants as tech, stage managers and lighting and sound folks. So there's more to being the producer than just throwing money at people. So. And eventually the theater should be able to stand on its own. So, but a producer for a show is the bank.
What took you from Florida back up here to Connecticut? Did you come up here to start a theater?
Well, I'm from here. Well, I'm not from here, I'm from New York, but I found my way here via Massachusetts. I came in like a semicircle. And I left Florida because I didn't like it there. I just didn't like Florida. Not only was it hot, it was hot. You think it's going to be hot here this summer, you know? No, it's very hot in the summer down there. And it was time to come back, you know?
When you came back to Connecticut, did you have thoughts of starting a theater?
Yes.
What did you do?
Started a theater.
In Connecticut?
Eventually, you know, a couple of years thinking about it, getting organized, maybe picking scripts. You know, I read a lot of scripts. And so I found a little theater in Stonington. And so that the DramaWorks was formed in 2018. We had our first 2 shows in Stonington at a little theater. Believe it or not, there was a theater inside, downstairs, in an office building that they would let people, in the office building use if they had presentations to do or something like that. I bought 4 lights and a small board and set them up, and we did Agnes of God and what else? Oh, the Guys, which was about 9/11. So we did those 2 shows while the theater in Old Saybrook was being built in this empty space. And then we moved in 2020, and we started rehearsing the first show. And then we're 2 weeks, I should run for president. We're 2 weeks into the rehearsal for the first show, and then we shut down for a year and a half because of COVID. So we had our full season in 2021. And now we're planning 2025.
Speaking of that, what brought you to Old Saybrook? Has it been a good move for you?
I think Old Saybrook has been a good move. I think if you think about theater goers, a lot of them tend to go like towards New York. And with the exception of a theater in Stony Brook.
In Stony Creek?
Yeah.
Legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, you have to go to New Haven, really, to
Right.
see some good theater, if I can call it that. And that can be a trip for people, especially certain times of the year that people just don't, because of traffic and construction, which I hit coming here today.
Sure.
You just don't want to travel that distance. And I'm trying to keep people off the trains. I mean, a lot of what we do was done off Broadway like last year or 2 years ago. We do contemporary stuff. So you're seeing, I know you may get comments about this, but we're doing stuff that you could easily have seen in New York and not have to take the train. And then people will say, yeah, but it's the acting. Okay, we have great actors, trained, very, very good. Just ask people that have been there. We have great actors. We have good directors.
Okay, let's hold that thought. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You are tuned in to Arts and Entertainment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
Okay, so we drowned the fire,
Yep.
stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Think twice before buying from certain social media ads. Products that claim to support charity may be a cover for a scam. BBB Scam Tracker has received numerous reports from consumers who never received their merchandise. And if it's a free trial offer you're interested in, be sure to read the fine print. Consumers report that once they agree to the terms and conditions of these offers, they realize they're on the hook for multiple monthly shipments of products. And be wary of name brand or designer goods offered at too good to be true prices. They're prime targets for counterfeit merchandise. Visit bbb.org/scam tracker to report a scam.
And welcome back to Arts and Entertainment. I'm Deborah Gilbert, your host, and as always, thanks so much for being here. Hope you're enjoying the show. We're highlighting DramaWorks Theater, which is based in Old Saybrook, Connecticut, and my conversation continues on with Ed Wilhelms. And Ed, before we get sidetracked here, let's talk about the website, dramaworkstheater.org.
Correct.
What will the viewer find when they go there?
They're going to find a place to donate.
Money.
They're going to see some of the shows that we've done in the past They're going to see some pictures of shows that we've done, but they're going to also find the shows, the upcoming shows from that are coming the rest of this season. And when we decide on next season, that'll be posted on the website. So, and also auditions. If there's any actors out there that want to come, and they don't have to have, you know, I've hired actors for shows that have had no experience, have never been on stage before. The important thing is to have talent. If you have talent, we can work.
Yeah.
And you got to start somewhere.
Right.
I mean, I was told at the age of 16 by the director, this is what he said to me. He said, "You're going to be the Tin Man." I said, "How about that?" So you do it. You know, if you have talent, you can do it. You just need somebody to give you that chance to be on stage.
You brought
I
a piece
did.
of paper that
Yes.
talks about your last 2 shows. Why don't we talk about them? What do you have happening?
In September, we're doing this 2 Rooms by Lee Blessing. 2 Rooms is on stage is shared by 2 rooms. One room is a cell, basically, in Beirut, Lebanon, where an American teacher is being held by terrorists. The other room is his room, like a den in America, where the wife has removed all of the furniture so that she can kind of feel what he's going through. And it's basically a love story. It's really not a story about terrorists and about what's going on now over there. It's a love story. But she's torn between 2 other characters. A reporter who wants her to get her story out, be on television, do interviews, do newspaper interviews, you know, to hopefully make the terrorists respond and free him sooner. The other character is a woman from the State Department who was there to keep the reporter in check and also to fill her in as to the progress, if any, on getting him released. The problem is there's always a bigger picture.
And how about the other show?
The other show is wacky. Venus in Fur. So this guy has written, it's a 2-person show, and this fella has, the playwright has written an adaptation of Venus in Fur. And it's a little bawdy, as we used to say in the old days. And it's a young woman, the character's a young woman who's very sexy and very loving and so on and so forth. But she's not the type of person that shows up to audition for this role. She's like a very rough, almost abusive, I mean, tough language, just wrong for the part, totally wrong. This is not this is not a girl you would bring home to mother, necessarily. But for some reason, she knows the play, and she knows the dialogue, and she knows the character. So it's really the play is really about her taking over this whole situation. He's supposed to be the boss, and he winds up really having her be the boss. It's a very interesting play. I actually read it a couple of years ago, and I said, I'm not sure. I'll put it on this shelf. That's a maybe. And then an actress came to me and asked me if I would consider it. And I said, let me read it again. And we decided to do it.
Speaking of that and the plays and shelves, how do you decide on the plays that you're going to have be performed at the theater?
The, you know, it's a kind of an intimate space, space is not necessarily limited on stage, but we don't have. I don't like plays that have a lot of set changes, so that's a consideration. I don't like the audience to have to sit and watch guys come on stage and move boxes and move pieces of furniture around and so on. I like things to flow. So small sets, no sets, sets that remain, like a living room or a kitchen or whatever. So that's a consideration. And that's based on how I want the audience to be relaxed and to watch this show. We don't need a lot of unnecessary movement on stage. And the type of show, like I said before, we do contemporary drama, contemporary comedies, contemporary drama comedies, and I'm not interested in annoying the audience. I'm not interested in doing stuff that necessarily has horrible language just for the sake of having horrible language. You know what I mean? In other words, some cursing is very funny, or it can be in the right. But I have scripts sent to me by playwrights, and for some reason, newer playwrights seem to think that they have to put stuff in the script that is not necessary, but that is annoying to an audience. It's certainly annoying to me. It would be to you. Would be to everybody here. It just doesn't. It's not necessary. Tell the story. Why do you have to be? You know, the language on some of this stuff is. So I'm aware of that.
Before we forget, tell us about the theater. It's in Old Saybrook. What's it like?
Oh my God! You should have seen this place when I walked in there.
I know it was empty.
So it was an empty space, a flex space, industrial flex space in a tall, you know, a long building on Route 1, the other Route 1, like going towards Old Lyme. But it was zoned, they changed the zoning. It was zoned for theater. It was unbelievable. I just fell into it, you know. So I called the real estate guy and I showed up. He unlocked the door. I walk in. I've got a clipboard with paper and I got a tape measure. Now I had done this in Florida, so I'm taping. You know, I'm measuring for the stage, measuring for the seats, looking at where the seats are going to be, where the lobby's going to be. And he's standing there like I'm wacky, like, what is this guy doing? And so I'm writing stuff down. I said, yeah, this will work. Okay, I'll take it. And it worked. It worked, luckily.
And now you've been open since 2020, 21?
Well, 2021.
Okay, and you have how many seats?
Right now we have 42 seats. We started with 48, 44. Yeah, 44. So now, because we moved the tech, the lighting and sound area from backstage to the back of the seating area.
Right.
So that took some seats out.
Yeah, I've seen the space, so I see the lighting and the tech person in the back.
Yeah, Tim. Hi, Tim.
What's the future look like? You have a big, we can't talk about, we're running out of time, but do you have your calendar scheduled for 2026, 2025?
I have 3 shows picked. Don't have the rights yet because it's a little early. Actually, I have 3 shows. And so I'm still reading scripts. I just ordered one this morning. So I'm still reading scripts, and we'll wind up with hopefully a really good season again of 6 plays.
Well, we are starting to run out of time.
Come on.
Are there any closing thoughts that you have for the viewers?
Hey, yeah, give us a try. Come on down. you know, and watch a show. And you know, I was talking to somebody, I don't know if we have time for this, but I was talking to somebody about, you know, about what happens in our theater. It happens in any theater. I mean, you're sitting there, and you've been to our theater, and you're sitting and you're watching, and it's real. It's real time, real people, it's a real story, and you're involved. You're looking through a big picture window at what's going on with those folks there. I love theater.
I know you do. I want to thank you so much for coming back. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's great. Thanks.
Okay. I'm Deborah Gilbert. You have been tuned into Arts and Entertainment. I hope you have a super day today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.